and I'm an associate dean in the College of Education and Human Services, and I want to welcome all of you here today to learn a little bit more about your transition. This is probably more obvious to you than it is to some of our other students, since it's called the College of Education and Human Services, but I always think it's helpful to kind of think about what the different structures are. So, right, you're all education majors, and you probably represent a variety of different education majors. And you're located within the School of Education, which is kind of like your department. And then that's located within the College of Education and Human Services. So you may be getting information from all of those different groups. So just so that you're aware of that, if something comes out from us. So today you are taking another step on your path to graduation as you transition from your first year advisor to your major advisor. And before we get started, I want to just mention a couple of things. First of all, you have all been added to a Western online course, which is entitled Your Path to Graduation. And in that Western online course, which is separated by different majors, you will find information, a variety of different resources that you might find useful. Things like degree plans, information about student teaching, those types of things. So please make sure that you take a look at that, because that will be useful for you. And we'll continue to put information in there as it becomes available. The other thing that I wanted to mention before we get started is our plan for today. So our plan is for me to introduce to you some important people in your academic success, to share some information about your majors and some tips to be successful, and then to provide you some time to ask any questions that you might have. So to get us started, I'm first going to welcome Kelly Morris, your first year advisor, to say a few words.
Hello. You have spent the last since March until now with me, and now I'm handing you off to the able-bodied advisors for teacher education. We have spent several appointments going through degree plans and requirements and state certification requirements. That's going to get continually drilled into you, and if things change with the state, then your next advisors are going to make sure that that is drilled into you. This is an honorable career decision that you've made. And our next generation really is lucky to have you. We have a very strong education program at Western. And so I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on the steps that you're taking, and wish you the very best of luck in your next few years. Please remember that there is all kinds of assistance and support on this campus for you, so that you forevermore are going to have access to tutoring and academic success coaches and academic programming that is going to just strengthen any of those areas that you may want to strengthen. And just remember that there's a lot of support here for you. Good luck to you. Please go do great things and shine for the next generation. Take care.
Great. Thanks, Kelly, so much. So now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the major advisors. So we have 3 major advisors on our call today. First is Holly Van Blymen. Second is Riley Konitzer. And third is Kim Marino. Holly, do you want to start us out by introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Holly Van Blymen, and I will be the advisor for all of the education majors except the middle levels here on the Western, here at Western on the Macomb campus. So I will start meeting with you guys about summer and fall classes after on February 7th or after. I will be sending an email to you after this meeting. So on that, you will have my Calendly link and my email, and so you can reach out to me anytime. A little background, I've been here at Western total of probably 21 years. I was a student here, so I was an early childhood major, so I've been in some of your shoes. And then I came back and I was on the athletic side. I was a softball coach here, and then I was the assistant athletic director for academics. And I also was the director of our athletic academic services area. So I've been working with Western, been here, very familiar with the resources that we have to offer. So I'll be happy to help you with whatever I can.
Okay, Riley.
Hi, folks. I am the middle level education advisor. That's the only major within education that I have. And so I'll be working with you folks. Like same as Holly said, contact me starting next week to look at registering for summer and fall classes. I'm actually not local to Western or Macomb. I'm not even from Illinois. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I just moved here in November to start for this position as the advisor. So we're going to be learning together. I'm still new, so thank you so much ahead of time for your patience as I learn. And I'm very much looking forward to getting to know you folks and helping you plan for your futures. And I'm excited. Also, a little bit about me personally. I have an adorable cat named Luna Bear. So I also have pet rats. I like to go kayaking, read, crochet. I'm kind of a hobbyist. I like a lot of different things. So if you ever want to chat about stuff that's not school, I'm up for that too. It's good to meet all of you and welcome.
Thanks, Riley. And Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Marino, and I am the academic advisor at the Quad City campus. I have been in advising for 22 years. Prior to that, I was in admissions for 4. So I've been at Western for some time. In the Quad Cities, we do have the programs of elementary ed, early childhood, and then multilingual education. So today we're going to start off. I'm going to be the first advisor to give you some information. So, and I'm going to discuss what to expect when you have your advising sessions with us. So you will be required to meet with your academic advisor at least once a semester. So and as Riley and Holly already talked, they will start meeting with students on the 7th, and I will start with my students on the 14th. During those sessions, we will be discussing what's coming up for you to register for the next semester. So when you meet with us this time, we're going to be discussing summer and fall registration. So we're going to notify you and help you pick your courses, let you know about course rotation. We do have courses that are a spring only offering or a fall only offering. So we will be informing you of that, making sure that you're staying on track, taking the courses that you need when you need them. We are going to be reviewing your board report, which is your degree audit report. So we will look at that with you every semester. We will also be developing a student degree plan with you. And that is something you can look on your stars and see that. And it gives you semester by semester, excuse me, breakdown. We're going to answer any questions that you may have, inform you of, important dates, deadlines, state requirements, things like that. Can I hand it over to Holly?
So things that you might hear about throughout this call are, along with your professional educator license that you're working to attain, are endorsements. And basically, endorsements are another licensure that you can get while you're taking your courses towards your professional educator license. So whether you're LED, early childhood, SPED, middle education, but these are additional things that you can earn while you're here so you can teach and be more marketable when you go into the school systems. So basically, most endorsements are 18 hours. A lot of them, you are actually already taking some of that coursework through your general education requirements or through your education requirements through whatever program that you are in. So we will work with you. The 3 of us will work with you to make sure that you're taking the correct courses. I think some of the most popular ones, right now, I think ESL is a popular one. Sometimes our SPED majors will also it's one course if you're SPED to become LED or SPED. So you would have that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Typically you take those 18 hours and then you have to take the content test, which is very similar to what you'll do to get your LED, early childhood, SPED teaching licensure. So you'll do that. And then once you pass those 2 tests, then you will be licensed to teach in those areas. So like I said, they might talk about that a little bit more in the future and go from there. And SPED, is special education majors. LED is elementary ed, and early childhood, I think is, I just said early childhood. So there's also a multilingual education route that you can go as well. So we'll have time for questions here at the end, but I just kind of wanted to hit on endorsements real quick. And now I'm going to pass it to Riley, where she's going to give you some tips.
Find the mute button. Yeah, so I guess some tips that I have for all of you going forward would be, number one, please check your email often, every day. We're going to communicate a lot via email and send you opportunities, things to get involved in, important information for your licensure. So definitely stay on top of that email. And another thing to go along with that communication piece is please reach out to us. Please connect with us if you're encountering struggles. We would love to help you out with that and head those off before it really becomes a problem. So communication is going to be key. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page to get you where you want to go. Another tip that we have for you is to download the Brightspace Pulse app to stay up to date on your Brightspace classes. So you'll have that right on your phone, get pinged for assignments and things like that. So definitely check that one out. Let's see. I think that's all that's all I had come up with in about 5 minutes. Holly, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. So make sure you're checking your WIU email. I know Riley said email, but a lot of you still have your personal and your Western ones. All of us will be communicating with you through your WIU account. So make sure that you get that added onto your phone. If you need help with that, we can definitely talk you through how to do that in one of your advising meetings with us. So, but no, that was perfect, Riley. So, okay, Katrina, I think that's all we have.
All right, great. Thanks so much. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eric Sheffield, who is the director of the School of Education, to talk a little bit more about the school, as well as to introduce you to some of the other faculty who are on today's call.
Thank you, Katrina, Riley, Holly, and Kim. Thanks. Yeah, so I am the director of the School of Education. And some of my background, I was a high school English teacher for 14 years, and then I taught at Missouri State University teacher education courses for another 14 years. And I've been here, this is my 5th year that I'm finishing up. I also want to, so really my role here is to do everything I conceivably can to ensure that the mission of the School of Education is accomplished. And that mission is squarely focused on your classrooms, you and your professors. So when my faculty needs something, they come to me and I figure out a way to make it happen if it's possible. I also wanted to tell you that, to echo Kelly, thank you for choosing what I consider to be the most honorable vocation that you could possibly choose, particularly at this moment when we are in the throes of the worst teacher shortage in this country's history, and particularly so in Illinois, and even more particularly so in this part of Illinois. You are undertaking a wonderful career. You will love it. It is a grind, but you will love it. I also want to point out that we do have one other undergraduate degree program that actually does not lead to teacher licensure. And I'm going to ask Gary Daytner to speak to that here in a few minutes. That's a bachelor's degree in educational studies. So it is a degree steeped in educational matters, but it is does not lead to licensure. So it would prepare you to work in informal educational settings. And again, Gary may say a few words about that program. And in addition, just so you know, and I know we've already listed them out, the School of Ed houses the early childhood option of elementary ed, the elementary option, special education, which covers you kindergarten through age 21, middle level, the secondary high school programs are out in the discipline department. So high school math teachers are in the math department, science teachers in the science department, and so forth. I also want to point out some opportunities that you have connected to the School of Education, but teacher education more generally, and including educational studies. We're in the midst of establishing a dorm floor for education majors. These dorm floors dedicated to discipline majors are known as living and learning communities. That floor will be available, as I understand it, for the fall of next year. So if you have any interest in that, please send me a note or send your advisor a note, and we can get you to the right people and let you know, how that's going. We also have some centers in the School of Ed that I hope you get access to. They are incredible sources of hands-on kinds of artifacts that might be used in a classroom. Those centers include the Reading Center, the Curriculum Library, which is probably one of the best in the state, if not the best. It's certainly the best in terms of the size that Western Illinois University is. We also have a science center, and Dr. Sheka is here. He runs our science center, and he has a rocketry club that I'm guessing he may want to encourage you to join in. We also have a social studies center, including 2 trunks that have curricular matters and artifacts from the Holocaust, as well as 2 of the country's regions' Native American populations that can be used for social studies instruction. We also have a new center for rural education. It was just established 5 or 6 months ago, and we hope to do a lot of great things through that center, including some research, advocacy for rural educators, and those kinds of things. We have other clubs beyond the rocketry club. We have the teacher student club here on camp in the School of Ed. That is sponsored by Dr. Eric Mansfield. And we also have a chapter of Kappa Delta Pi, which is, of course, the Education Honors Society. And that is sponsored by Dr. Edtpa Singh. Dr. Singh is also the coordinator of the middle level program. So with that, unless you all have any questions for me, I'm practicing my wait time. Is that still a phrase that's used? Wait time? Nobody knows. Okay, I want to introduce you to some of our faculty who were able to join us today. I'm going to start with Dr. Gary Daytner. Gary, would you mind introducing yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about the Ed Studies program?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Gary Daytner. I'm a professor in the School of Education. This is my 21st year at Western, and I teach the educational assessment course for the undergrad teacher ed programs. I also currently am the program coordinator for the educational studies program that Dr. Sheffield gave you a little intro about. And again, that's designed for individuals that want to work in educational settings, whether that's an informal educational setting or maybe in schools themselves, but they're not looking for licensure. They're not looking to be K-12 classroom educators or K-12 educators. So other individuals working in the school districts or in relation to school offices or educational settings in communities and elsewhere that may be more informal. I think you're muted, Dr. Sheffield.
Yeah, you're right, Dr. Daytner. Dr. Birnbaum, would you mind introducing yourself? You're muted.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Barry Birnbaum in special education. I've served as a classroom paraprofessional, classroom teacher, school principal, director of special education, and now professor of special education. So I've got a lot of good years behind me in terms of what I've done in special ed and making a difference in children's lives. One thing I would like for you to consider is look at the possibility of getting the dual certification. You can get the LBS 1 and the LED certificate. It takes you 1 quarter more to do the extra student teaching for the LED certificate. Many of our graduates, when they student teach, are offered jobs on site. And they're offered jobs in terms of as soon as they're done with their student teaching, they become a member of the faculty. So it's important that you get all of your tests done. I also do test review for special education, and get your testing done and get your certification done so you're ready to move.
Thank you, Dr. Birnbaum. And Dr. Sheka. If you're speaking, you're muted, Dr. Sheka.
Sorry about that. Hello, everybody. I'm Sebastian Sheka. I'm going to share my screen with you briefly, and I'll have some talking points here on the slides. Can everybody see the slide? All right, so in teacher education, I represent the elementary education undergraduate program. My primary duties as a faculty member are to teach science education courses, because I am the science education professor here at Western, along with Dr. Singh. I play a lot of different roles. I'll emphasize the undergraduate coordinator role that I play at Western in the School of Ed. I'd like to go over a little bit of the overview of the classes and some of the things that are required of you as a student in this particular major. Our programs are based on the idea of clinical field work and experiences with kids in schools. And so we begin you very early in a class called CNI 110 with that type of field work. So one selling point we have, and something that makes us different from other programs, is that we have this field component throughout the program, from the earliest classes all the way through till student teaching, which is the final semester of your program. So it benefits you to get that extensive experience in both observing as well as teaching children in a variety of settings. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to go out and work with students in the schools, even in extracurricular capacity with America Reads and some other programs that are associated with the field courses. So we did explain a little bit about our programs of study, but here's the overall layout of them. Elementary education is a major. It's the most popular, I believe, in going through to become a teacher for the grade span of 1 through 6. Early childhood is an option. That would be pre-K through 1. You met Dr. Barry Birnbaum, and he is special education. That is also one of our majors. And we would encourage you to consider that dual certification in special education and in elementary education, because your marketability will be enhanced by doing that. I know that we are in the midst of a very deep teacher shortage at this point. And so you'll be highly marketable with whatever major you go into in teacher education, but especially in the K through 8 spectrum, there are jobs and there's a high demand for teachers. So some of the other majors that we have include the educational studies major, middle level major. We do have endorsable areas in bilingual and English, secondary language. And so these will all help you do a specialty area if you so choose. So there is a lot for you to choose from. I would encourage you to explore these options in the Gateway course, which is going to be that Curriculum Instruction 110 class. They'll go over all these different options, and then you can decide which direction you would like to go to. maybe you'll change your mind and consider middle level education, which is going to be for 6th, 7th, 8th grade and 9 inclusive. One facet of the program will be for you to achieve licensure in Illinois. And so depending on some endorsement area that you get, you will get a licensure to be an elementary teacher or sped teacher. And so there are certain guidelines and criteria that have to be met, some of which include passing that content test in your area, as well as the specific either elementary or special education or middle level education tests. We offer preparatory type classes or at least a workshop for you to prepare for these tests so you can pass them. That's important for you to understand that we emphasize your success in the program. And so what that means is we want you to pass these tests on your first try. And so we will support you in those regards to make sure that that happens. So licensure is a key component, and your advisors will work with you in making sure you meet all those requirements and that you're taking a schedule of classes that's going to help you finish in a timely manner. That's going to be really important for you to also really have in the back of your mind that it's going to be a sequencing of courses throughout your time at Western that will help you to graduate and then get a job. All of our graduates get jobs in the region. Some go out of state. Sometimes we even find that superintendents and principals are calling us asking about candidates and wanting to place people before they're even done with student teaching because of the teacher shortage. So take advantage of all those opportunities, and you will be successful as the majority of, or as all of our candidates are in our programs. So I did mention at the beginning that there are field experiences courses in the elementary education program. So that includes 5 different from freshman to senior year. In that final semester, you actually take over a class for an entire semester that you'll have as your own. And so that is the final course in the sequence where you'll get a lot of experience before you actually go out and start looking for jobs. Dr. Sheffield did mention that I am in science education, and so that probably is conducive to doing the science ed courses. I mean, that's my role here, but you do have to take methods courses in a lot of the other areas, including social studies, language arts, math, special education, and some bilingual and English instruction. So the SH is the semester hours. And so you do have to take 2 classes in science ed. We have 364 and 464. Social studies is constructed similarly. And so in each of these classes, you get experience in the most effective means of instructing those subjects. So in science education, that means you'll learn that the importance of creating activities for students before you actually teach the content. So they're doing hands-on experiments and activities that help improve their science content knowledge, as well as your own science content knowledge. You'll notice that we have a strong emphasis on learning the content as part of what you learn in these methods courses. So basically, you could think of these classes as teaching you how to know how to teach certain subject areas successfully and effectively. So you will work with children in a variety of different settings. So that includes school settings. We do have a daycare center at Western in Horben Hall, and there will be opportunities for you to volunteer there. There will be opportunities for you to work in schools with what I mentioned as the America Reads program. So every time there is a chance for you to do something, you will want to pursue that, because then that's something that you could put on your resume that will help improve your marketability also for becoming a teacher once you graduate. So we do have early childhood as a program. You do receive a teaching license option. So you could get a teaching license with a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Ed with an option of early childhood. I won't go over all of these, but the big idea here is that there is a specialty area for you to choose depending on what your area of interest is with working with children. And so this shows that you can actually have an option in early childhood. You can get an option in the other areas. A couple of the advisors did talk a little bit about the courses. I believe it's 120 hours of semester hour work that you will do. And this shows the different types of classes that you'll have to register for and the scheduling for it so you can finish in 4 years. The special education program at Western teaches about a lot of the wide-ranging disabilities that exist from mild to moderate to severe. And so the field experience work also helps assist you in becoming a special education teacher. There's assessments that are required, and then you do achieve the learning and behavioral specialist licensure. So I don't have anything more for you besides the middle level education program. I can close off with that. This is a program that is specifically designed for teachers who are interested, or students who are interested in being a teacher in grades 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And you have to be of a certain mindset to be a middle school teacher. Some will think that you're crazy to want to go in that grade level, but it's very rewarding actually. And they're not quite high school age, and they're not quite younger as in they were in the elementary setting, but at this grade level, you do focus on a certain content area. So you will get a specialization in either reading or science or social studies. And in some cases, it is departmentalized in those situations. And you could just be a science teacher, just be a social studies teacher, or a combination with going through and doing this particular major. And of course, the Edtpa or the content test will be catered towards providing you this kind of experience, or a test that you will take for this particular endorsable area. We don't want to leave out bilingual or ESL education. These are endorsable areas that you could attach to elementary ed. And so because of the critical need for bilingual ESL teachers, this is a program that we offer. And one thing you should be aware of is that you don't necessarily have to speak a second language to go into this endorsable area, but it just teaches you how to effectively work with a diverse population of students, as well as non-native English language speaking students. So there are certain programs, certain requirements for our programs that include a number of different semester hours, passing certain tests. The state is always considering waiving certain requirements. So some of the barriers that did exist previously have been lifted. So right now it's the Edtpa, which is a portfolio that you have to put together showing your teaching and your work in a school setting. A lot of that has been waived because of the pandemic, but we are hopeful that a lot of that will be scored locally at the university or in the School of Ed or in teacher ed, rather than being sent out. Right now it's graded through a company called Pearson, and they do have very strict rules about how things need to be submitted. The good thing for you though is that we have faculty who will help you put together that portfolio in a successful way, depending on if it's still around when you are coming through to the end of the program. But we will help you in putting together a successful portfolio for you to then pass that with no problems at all through either our localized testing or the Edtpa. Educational studies, as Dr. Daytner mentioned, is a major where if you do not choose to go into licensure, this could be an option for you. So a couple of the careers that you could go into in educational studies would be to be associated with some kind of a museum or some kind of a job at a school that doesn't actually teach but helps support teachers. So there are a lot of options, and he would be the faculty member who would help you achieve that. And if you had any questions about it, you could ask him as well. So I do want to close then with welcoming you all to the teacher ed program. You know, if you have any questions about your program of study, your advisors would be where you would start. Faculty are always willing to answer questions. You can always email myself or any of us, and we'll be happy to help you. And our goal is your success.
Thank you, Dr. Shaka. I wanted to then open it up now for any questions that students might have at this time. You can also put them in the chat if you don't want to. Okay, well, I know that we're a little bit over time, so I want to thank everybody for coming today. But before we conclude, I do want to take this opportunity to introduce you to one more person. Jill Bisbee, our Recruitment, Retention, and Student Success Officer. She's another resource here in the college who's happy to help answer any questions you might have. And she's going to put in the chat a student resource website that will be valuable for all of you as well. So if there aren't any questions, we want to thank you very much for coming today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day and a continued success on your path to graduation.
Thank you.
Thank you.